Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the special legislative meeting on March 25th, 2026, ahead of our State of the Town meeting. And so I will call this meeting to order at 7:01. All right, Council, I believe we have quorum. I see Councilmember Ramos on, Councilmember Lingua online as well, Councilmember. And then we have in the room Councilmember Foe and Worsnop here. And so we have quorum, and Councilmember Smith is also online. Great. So Councilmember Colon did call me, and he is very sick. So he will not be joining us, unfortunately. And hopefully he and others feel better in this flu virus season. So it's really important. Okay, we have an agenda ahead in front of us. I believe it's only one item on the agenda. Public comments and a legislative action item for a resolution in support of the Maryland Municipal League's priority legislation bill. We're on a task force around modernizing the county and municipal revenue structures. Is there any amendments to the agenda or stated conflicts of interest to the agenda? Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, motion by Councilmember Foe and second by Councilmember Worsnop. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing no raised hands and hearing none, I'll go to a roll call vote. Councilmember Smith? Councilmember Foe?
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua?
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop?
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. Okay. Any public comments? We'll give it 30 seconds or so for any public comments on the legislative action item. Okay. Seeing none, hearing none. We'll go to the next item, which is legislative action item, which is about the task force. We'll pull it up on the screen. All right. So background on this in terms of this particular resolution is the Maryland Municipal League, which is the sort of state body that helps represent all of the municipalities in the state of Maryland, has been pushing and working with the Ways and Means Chair, Delegate Watkins, on creating a task force to study the revenue structures for municipal and county governments. One of the interesting things is that in the state of Maryland, there has not been any change in the way municipalities and counties have been receiving funding for 60 or 70 years. And so this task force is trying to go in and understand what are the best practices across the country, how are other states receiving funding, and really to see are there other opportunities in order to bring more revenue funding in, with the reality being right now the vast majority of our funding comes from residential tax and commercial real estate tax, and other things like sales tax that happens in a particular municipality are not included. We don't necessarily get that directly. And so the purpose of this is before any major changes happen, the goal is to do a thorough investigation in the task force to find out what are the best practices. So what the Maryland Municipal League is asking every municipality that by the end of this month, can they pass resolutions in support of this particular bill to help it pass in the Senate. And so I believe it passed in the House, and so therefore it gets transferred over to the Senate, and it's up to the Senate to vote on this in order for it to be law. So the resolution is here. Is there a motion? And then we can have a conversation or debate on it.
Mr. Mayor,
Council member.
I would like to motion to adopt Resolution 2026-R-07 to support the Maryland Municipal League's priority legislation, House Bill 1142, Task Force to Modernize County and Municipal Revenue Structures.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Foe and seconded by Councilmember Link. Any discussion on the motion?
Other than the fact that this is probably long overdue? No.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any comments from council? My explanation, was that thorough?
Fantastic.
All right, well, guess I'm doing my job all right. Well, hearing no other comments, we'll go to a roll call vote. Councilmember Smith,
Aye.
Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. That's fantastic. Okay. And that's it. That's the only item that we have on special legislation. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Lingua and second by Councilmember Smith. We don't debate these, so we'll go straight to a roll call vote. Councilmember Smith.
Aye.
Councilmember Foe.
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua.
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos.
Aye.
And I abstain. The motion passes 5-0-1. Kind of switched up. Motion adjourned, and we are going directly to the state of the town.
So good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council that are here present, and those joining remotely, members of the community, and the staff team. The town charter requires that annually the town manager report to the council the state of the town. And so this evening, we've put together a rather extensive PowerPoint presentation. We have 83 slides. We will endeavor to go through those timely and then allow for questions and answers at the end. I am not your only presenter tonight, so you don't have to hear me for all 83 slides. You will hear from members of the staff leadership team. So we first want to be thinking about the last 10 years. So in the spring of 2016, I'm hearing feedback. Give me one moment here. There we go. In the spring of 2016, the mayor and council were working on changing the form of government. And tonight we're going to look back over the last decade. Then we're going to hone in on the previous year, the last year, talk about fiscal 27, and then talk about the coming 10 years. And the next several slides, we're going to, who's ever controlling this can advance. So we first want to just take a minute to acknowledge the stakeholders. We have 3 slides of stakeholders. And we have to first acknowledge our town residents and our town businesses. And then we have many partners. And that's from the county and MNC PPC and Riverdale Park Arts and the Farmers Market and the elementary school. There's a basketball game there tomorrow where a staff team comprised of our police department and maybe a ringer or two will be playing the teachers. But also the state of Maryland, District 22, the Maryland Municipal League, Sustainable Maryland, our municipal partners that the staff team interacts with on a continual basis. Riversdale, House Museum, the Loeb Fellows, College Park Academy, the Riverdale Volunteer Fire Department, Inc., that's represented here well tonight, represented by their president, Nova Johns. We're grateful that they are here tonight. CCAR CDC, our faith-based partners that we partner with on food distributions and other community events. Our nonprofit community partners, the University of Maryland and the Discovery District. So that just gets us to the point of acknowledging who it is that our partners are. So what makes TRP unique and different? The mayor and council had a retreat back in September. And one of the concepts that came out of that was One Riverdale Park. And Mayor Ing-Yang has described the initiative this way. One Riverdale Park emerged as a unifying theme. It reflects a commitment to inclusive leadership and a shared vision for the town, a vision that includes housing affordability, economic opportunity, safer ways to walk, to bike, to drive, and effective stormwater management. But most of all, it reflects our belief that no part of our town will be left behind. So that's kind of at the core of who the town has become. And the other things that make us unique when we look and compare ourselves to others, at our core are our ethics. And the town should be proud in its ethical stance on how we operate government, but also on our outward focus. And we're going to talk about that, how that came to life over the last 10 years, how it lives today. And that outward focus coupled with the ethical stance, coupled with this concept of One Riverdale Park, that's what makes us different. So in looking back over the last 10 years, there's some major categories that we're going to talk about. And those are the mayor and council leadership, growth and development, infrastructure improvements, organizational improvements, improvements to service delivery, navigating change and uncertainty, and finance considerations. So we also need to look at our demographics and how things have changed and how some things have remained the same. So when we look at the columns or the first set of numbers under each area, those numbers reflect 2016. And I don't see them changing up on your screen. Give me one moment here. They're updating on mine. Ryan, are you able to activate that slide?
I can go to the next slide, but unfortunately
I'll just read them out because it's a little technical snafu. There's actually quite a nice automation on my screen. I'll describe it to you. So in 2016, our median age was 30.6. Now the median age is 37. Our education attainment, so that's high school and some college included in there. We were at 62.9 in 16. We're now at 74.7. Bachelor's degrees, we've seen growth there from 26.5 to 33.7. Housing units, we went from 2108 to 2423. And really notable here is the median household income. In 2016, the median household income was $61,000. Today, the median household income is $120,000. As we continue to look at the demographics, individuals below the poverty level, we were at 17.9, we're at 17.7, but there's more to this story. And we have a graph here shortly that will explain how we ended up back at 17 and some change. But we actually saw a significant dip in the years in the middle. The home ownership rate is down slightly. And language other than English spoken at home is up considerably from 33.5 to 57.6. So that gives just some insight as we're going to talk about these different areas, who we are as a community. So when we talk about the mayor and council leadership, it's important to look at, as we move to the next slide, the mayor and council created this form of government, adopted charter and code changes. We'll talk shortly about just how many of those things have happened over the last decade. But one of the biggest things the mayor and council did was in March of 2020 was created the Partners in Economic Recovery program in response to COVID, as well as in the late teens adopted the vision and commitment statements, which the council amended in 2023 and 2024. The council also went through a redistricting process. And I've mentioned the council retreat and goal setting. The adoption of council rules of procedure, that's in process with the current administration. And then creation of boards, committees, and commissions. And when we look to the next slide, I think it's really important that we pause and recognize just how many boards and commissions there currently are. We'll talk later tonight about one that we believe envision happening. But in terms of the amount of time and dedication and work that our residents are doing to make Riverdale Park the location of choice, it's really significant. So the Board of Code Appeals that was created in the last 10 years, the Board of Elections, the same, and the Walk, Bike, Drive Committee that was created in 2019. The Ethics Commission and the Sustainability Group, they're date back more than 10 years, but still the input that we receive from our residents is really notable. There's many jurisdictions our size that would be envious of how many folks we have that are working to improve the town. As we talk about growth and development, there's a lot of things here today that if you moved to town not that long ago, you would think they were always here. And so we have a new neighborhood. Riverdale Park Station wasn't there. We have a vibrant town center. Not so much in 2016. I know when I arrived, there were vacant storefronts, shells of buildings. And the mayor and council authorized grant programs in that to help businesses. And we'll cover that in a little bit as well. The Discovery District is very different today. I mentioned the grant programs, the town center redesign project that's coming to life now, the Purple Line. Some buildings that weren't here. College Park Academy wasn't here 10 years ago. University Research Court was pretty much empty. 4600 River Road wasn't built. The St. John's properties weren't built. The infill housing that we have on many of our streets wasn't here. Riviera Tapas wasn't here. Manifest Bread wasn't here. 250 Barbecue wasn't here. Whole Foods wasn't here. District Taco wasn't here. All those things happened in the last 10 years. And the town had a role in many of these, whether it's the LMUTC committee or MUTC committee looking back, or our direct grant programs. Many of the businesses I named have been recipients of town grants. When we look at other areas of growth and development, the enhanced placemaking, the simple things like wrapping utility boxes, bringing art and color to our neighborhoods. I've already mentioned the resident involvement on the boards and commissions, the preservation of the MUTC group. That's really significant. And the adoption of our own property maintenance code. Because we used to have to enforce the county code, which did not allow us to apply standards to commercial buildings. That's a significant change. In terms of infrastructure improvements, the Walk, Bike, Drive Safety Initiative, a robust CIP pipeline, our annual roadway improvement projects, ongoing sidewalk installation and repairs. That's a change. The volume of projects, how this town approaches improving the public spaces, that's a significant change over the last 10 years. The focus on crosswalks and curb ramps, the installation of speed humps and speed tables, the streetlight conversions with the new standard, the adoption the mayor and council made of a standard to have lighting be, I'll say, improved. It's not dark sky, but it's a better standard. Other infrastructure improvements include the pocket park, community garden and food forest, the pollinator gardens, the public art, the fact that we have on-call engineers and on-call construction contractors. All these things are new. When we look at the organizational improvements, formation of a staff leadership team, succession planning, the diversity of your staff team. Our staff team reflects the community. That's really important to me, and I think it's important to our community as well. The fact that we fully staffed the police department. And I talk about E to the fifth. That's a staff-grown management tool. And we speak on the staff level openly, first about ethics, then about expectations, about efficiencies, effectiveness, and about execution, actually getting something done. And that, I think, has continued to make us stronger. Organizational improvements are reflected in the GFOA Distinguished Budget Award every year since 2018, or 2019, I'm sorry. Our streamlined accounts payable. 10 years ago, we were on a cash-only basis with some of our vendors. That is all automated. The payroll automation and HR automation through Bamboo HR, and our established procurement processes and our grants. We have some significant numbers to report here in a little bit on grants. I was actually surprised how much we have in the pipeline. Improvements to service delivery include things like bilingual communication. That's the standard. Everything we send out, we have translated. The fact that this meeting tonight, we actually have the ability for translation in real time if someone would benefit from that. Our digital communications, whether it's constant contact or social media, our virtual services, forced upon us by COVID, but something that our residents have come to expect, the user friendliness of being able to conduct business virtually. our electronic invoicing and payments, our hybrid meetings, such as this gathering tonight, the Farmers Market program and the Farmers Market Plus program, and most recently added our community pantry programs. So all these things over the last 10 years have not been without our challenges and our uncertainty. So we have and we continue to battle food insecurity in the community. Flooding and stormwater management remain a really significant concern. And with climate change, it will continue to. I believe in my very first State of the Town, I talked about stormwater management being our top priority. And it still remains one of the top priorities today. The COVID-19 global pandemic, inflation, supply chain disruptions, the recent change in the federal administration. It has a really significant impact on this community in a whole variety of ways. The federal government shutdowns, plural, contraction of federal funding, immigration enforcement actions. All these things present challenges for our community, for all of us. So let's take a few minutes and talk about finance over the last 10 years. And so when we talk about the assessable base, I have to make my screen a little bit bigger here to see the numbers. So well, that's not going to work. Essentially, what you have in front of you is a comparison just 25 to 26 when we're looking at the growth in residential or commercial or exempt. And it's hard to see on this slide. I apologize for that. But we're seeing more growth in residential property values, less growth in commercial property values. And we've talked about that in public discussions before. When we go to the next slide, which you can see a trend more clearly here. So this is the net assessable base from 2017 to 2026. So moving from left to right, the left being 2017, you see that the assessable base has grown really substantially. So let's take a look at our local income tax. So the town receives a portion, the state charges an income tax, the county gets a portion, the town gets a portion. The town's portion of state income tax in 2016 was $490,000. It's now last year it was $1,067,000. We're projecting 1.15 for the upcoming year. So incomes as an aggregate have grown. However, if we look to the next slide. So again, a little hard to see, but the orange line, red line, is the median household income. The blue line is the poverty rate. So the orange line reflects the increase from 60,000 to 120,000 in median household income. Our level of poverty, our percent, was at about 17.9% in 2016, and it dropped. It dropped down to 10% in 2019, and then it started back up. So that's the blue line. So from 2019, it inched back up, and now in 2024, the most recent survey we have through the census, it's back up to 17.5. So incomes overall in the town grew substantially. Our poverty rate is comparable to what it was. So we have a segment of our community whose incomes have been stagnant. Others, their incomes have grown really substantially to go from 60 to 120. So let's talk budget growth. The budget growth reflects the cost growth. And so we went from a little more than $6 million to a little less than $12 million in the course of, this isn't quite 10 or 3 or 6 or 9 years. But on the next slide, you'll see the debt service, the debt balance. We started in 2017 with little over $3.5 million in debt. That's down to $500,000. $300,000 will be paid off in May. So when we looked at, and the way we've approached and the mayor and council have embraced, taking on no new debt, paying this down. And there may come a time in the future where we recommend taking on new debt, but it'll be short-term debt. We would not recommend taking on long-term debt. And by long-term, I mean anything over 20 years. It should really be 15 years or less, unless you can get some incredible rate and it's something that's really going to last. The town historically had to take on some significant debt. And we've managed to get this paid down over time. So we're going to shift gears now and talk about recent accomplishments. So I'm going to hand this off first to the deputy town manager and then to department heads to walk through what it is that they've been working on for the last year.
Good evening. I'm very pleased to be able to share with everyone some of the highlights of the Office of Administrative Services over the past year. As John mentioned earlier, the Office of Administrative Services is responsible for the bilingual communications. So the town has continued, and this department has continued to strive for better communication, more communication, but always bilingual communication. And some of those tools that we've used is the town crier, which, believe it or not, everyone still reads. The newsletter is, I love to hear that out in the community. We have our status and information report. We put out about 26 of those every year. We have our constant contact, which goes out every week, so more timely information. We have our social media platforms, our website, which will be upgraded in 2027. The communications is a large part of what administrative services does. One of the things that we were really proud to coordinate this year was the One Riverdale Park campaign. So hopefully you're seeing the yard signs and the stickers and the magnets. It is a really fantastic campaign. Is something that really shows who we are as a community, and we were very proud to be able to execute and coordinate that program. We established the community food pantry program. We have 2 in town. I was pleased to see the one at the Boys and Girls Club was really full, so our neighbors are sharing to assist with addressing food insecurity in the community. One of the more important things that the Office of Administrative Services does is provide support to the mayor and council and all the boards, committees, and commissions. And this year, in 2025, we provided support to the Board of Elections for a townwide election. So we were very proud to implement early voting for the very first time here in Riverdale Park, and that seems like something that'll continue. The Board of Elections is one of our committees that's really starting to take on its own independence, if you will, and so they'll be bringing some items back to the mayor and council at the end of the year. I'm sorry, at the end of the fiscal year. So the spring, summertime. Some of the other things that Administrative Services did this year was plan and execute events. So there were lots and lots of events this year to include a centennial celebration with fireworks. We worked with all of our community stakeholders, the fire department's here tonight, and they were a major part of our event this past summer. And then we coordinated the reopening of Town Hall. So were here in this building, in this room, and a lot of the little logistics were handled by the Office of Administrative Services. So there's just really a thumbnail of what Administrative Services did this year. There's a lot of things we're looking forward to in fiscal year 2027, but we'll save that for our discussion at the budget public hearings. So thank you. I'll hand it over to, there's a couple more slides. These, of course, are some of my favorites. Lots of pictures from our events. We have the spring egg hunt coming up on Saturday. We have filled over 1,000 eggs, so we're looking forward to having folks out this weekend. Some pictures from Trolley Trail Day, which has continued to grow year after year. We had some fantastic pictures of fireworks. I'm not sure that will be an annual event, but I know we certainly enjoyed the fireworks this past summer. We also have Train Stop Tunes, the Walk and Talks, Green on the Green, our holiday kickoff. A lot of these are new events or improved events over time. I'm going to hand the mic over to my colleague Ryan Shelton to talk about development services, but thank you all for the opportunity to talk about administrative services tonight.
Thank you, Director Barnes. Yes, I will first speak about the Department of Development Services. For anybody unaware, the Department of Development Services is responsible for economic development and community development in town. So some of the things that Development Services accomplished this year include partnering with the Sustainability Committee on a couple of different projects, but primarily the Pollinator Garden project that was installed recently at Kennedy Street, and continuing to work with them on other locations as well. But we are also working with the Sustainability Committee on the Sustainable Maryland certification and that handoff as well. We also expanded the Riverdale Park Art Initiative, expanded the location of the sculptures for the Riverdale Park Art Initiative from 5 to 7. Now there are 2 additional sculpture sites located within town. And this last fall, when there was uncertainty in the federal food assistance programs, we adjusted the Farmers Market Dollars program and assisted residents who were unable to receive federal food assistance at that time. Some additional accomplishments include coordinating communication with businesses for the Town Center redesign project. That was a project that encouraged a lot of discussion amongst our business community, specifically the business community around the town center. And there were multiple communications and repeated communications with businesses to make sure that everything was as transparent as possible, and made sure everything was as clear and any questions were answered from the business that we could. The next accomplishment is a new business directory launching soon. I am confident in saying that we'll have an online and mobile-friendly business directory within the next 2 months that businesses will be able to use and to market their businesses, and potential customers, be able to peruse to learn more about the businesses in town. We are also in the process of finalizing our new green bus shelter installation to be installed on Riverdale Road, just outside of the River of Life Church, just to the west of the tot lot, the new tot lot. I'll also speak about the Neighborhood Services Department. Neighborhood Services is responsible for maintaining property maintenance standards within the town, and also inspecting properties for their licensing and permitting requests. So this last year, we updated our neighborhood services vehicles with a new town seal and branding. You may have seen those Ford vehicles driving around town with the new QR code and new seal on the side of the vehicle. We also reviewed and identified the town code sections requiring updates and proposed revisions. So the first is the rental license that we spoke about recently, the short-term rental license adjustments and a few other adjustments, but we also have been working on business license adjustments and a few other code chapters as well that we'll be presenting to the mayor and council soon. We've also strengthened partnerships with external agencies and regional partners. This includes state departments and county departments. In the past, it's been a little difficult to get consistent answers from some of these other departments, and we coordinate with them pretty often, but our staff has done a great job growing relationships and being able to get to the bottom of inconsistencies and getting clarity from those other departments. I'll speak a little bit more about the grants for the residents. We back in December, we renewed many of these grant programs, so many of these should be quite familiar, but I'll go over them quickly. The Accessory Structure Grant Program is a grant program for residents who are improving accessory structures around their property. Typically, this includes fences and sheds, and our neighborhood services team actually is trained in not only accessory structure, but on all the grant programs so that whenever they come across a property with a violation that could be aided by a resident or a business applying for a grant program, they're able to suggest one of the grant programs. So, for example, with the accessory structure grant program, if there's a dilapidated fence going around a property, neighborhood services will issue a notice notifying the property owner that it needs to be brought up to code, but then also mention to them that we have a reimbursement program to help with those fixes. We also have the Community Spirit program to encourage events around town and bolster community spirit. We have the Emergency Repair Grant for residents, and these are typically for substantial repairs that are very costly, and some of our residents may or may not be able to make those repairs without the grant program. And so this program is trying to help those residents in need during an emergency. And we also have the Prevention and Damage Mitigation Grant Program, which is a proactive grant program to help reduce the need of the Emergency Repair Grant Program. The idea is that residents are able to apply for the Flood Prevention and Damage Mitigation Grant Program and install fixtures around the property in order to reduce flood damage in the future. We also have the Neighborhood Safety Improvement Grant Program, reimbursing individuals for buying lights and camera systems and encouraging safe practices around the property. And we also have grant programs for businesses. This includes the Businesses Facade Improvement Program, which is exactly as it sounds, to aid businesses with their appearance, exterior appearance. And we also have the Business Growth Grant, which is focused on interior of a property and can help with some renovations or building fit outs if there's a new business moving into a space. We also have the Commercial Appearance Grant Program and a Commercial Emergency Repair Grant Program, which is very similar to the Resident Emergency Repair Program. The Community Spirit Grant Program, businesses are able to apply for that as well. We also have the Flood Prevention and Damage Mitigation and Neighborhood Safety Improvement programs for businesses to apply for as well. I believe that may be the last slide. Yes, for the grant program. So I'm going to turn this over now to Director Paul Smith for the Employee Services Department.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and residents of the town of Riverdale Park. Just a brief few slides to show the Employee Services accomplishment. We continued the TRP University, which is an internal training program that focuses on compliance, culture, and leadership. And we have 6 mandatory training courses to strengthen our workforce. Just for example, we have preventing workplace harassment, ethical leadership, and code of conduct essentials. We also increased the wellness program participation by 33%. We developed a virtual online onboarding process, and in 2025, we also hired and onboarded 9 new employees. Next slide, please. And we're currently, as of 2025, we started the review of the personnel manual by external counsel, and we should have an update on that soon. And we also have monthly recognition of employees' anniversaries and their milestones. And on this demographics we have here, This is showing us where we are today, and it helps us see where we need to go. As you can see, we have a diverse workforce, and this data helps ensure we continue moving in the right direction. Thank you. And at this time, I think we turn it over to Ivy Lewis, Director of Public Works. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw those pictures. At this time, we'll turn it over to Gentry Jones, Deputy Director of Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Good evening, Mayor and Council, members of the public. I will briefly go over some of the accomplishments for finance services. So first is GFO Distinguished Budget Award. We've earned this award for 7 consecutive years. This recognition reflects adherence to nationally recognized practices in budgeting, including clear policy assignment, performance measures, and long-term planning. It also demonstrates our commitment to producing a budget that is not only compliant, but also transparent and decision useful for both council and residents. Next is the development of operating and CIP budgets in alignment with the town's priorities. So each year we develop both the operating and capital improvement program budgets to directly align with the town's strategic priorities. This ensures that resource allocation is intentional, supporting core services, infrastructure, investment, and community initiatives. And another accomplishment would be the advanced long-term financial planning to support fiscal sustainability. So over the years, we've strengthened our long-term financial planning framework to better support fiscal sustainability. This includes multi-year projections, monitoring of revenue and expenditure trends, as well as proactive planning for capital and operational pressures. Additionally, we have presented 36 plus financial reports for council and public. These reports support transparency, informed decision-making, and regular financial oversight. This aligns with the GFOA's best practices by ensuring that information is provided accurately and timely. Next accomplishment is the reduced annual debt by $300,000 through strategic debt management. So through proactive debt management strategies, we've reduced annual debt obligations, and this improves financial flexibility, lowers long-term interest costs, and strengthens the town's overall financial position. And the last accomplishment is strengthening the financial operations, most notably the accounts payable and grant management. We enhanced internal financial operations. These improvements included more efficient processing, stronger internal controls, and better tracking of grant-funded expenditures. So in closing, yeah, collectively, these efforts and these accomplishments have mostly improved our financial transparency, operational efficiency, and positioning the town for continued fiscal strength. Thank you.
I believe we have Laverne Peaks will cover these next several slides. Ms. Peaks?
Good evening, Mayor and Council, members of the public. Wanted to update you on our grants activities from July 2005 to current. We've submitted, this is supposed to be July 2024 to current. We submitted 28 grant applications and over $900,000 awarded. We have 8 pending applications, and those pending applications total $3.6 million. Next slide, please. So projects that were made possible through grant funding was we received $179,000 from congressional directed spending. That's to the federal government. And that is to modernize our police dispatch and communication system. The Urban Tree Canopy and Stormwater Project, we received $120,000 through that program for invasive species removal. And that is to remove Bradford pears in the public right-of-way. Without this funding, these projects would likely not have moved forward at this scale and at this time. Next slide, please.
So we'll transition to the police department. Chief Turner.
Good evening. I'll cover the accomplishments for the police department, and Lieutenant Colonel Garcia will help me with some training and oversight. So last year, we collaborated with the Prince George's County Police Accountability Board to ensure independent oversight. Routinely, Deputy Chief Garcia and I attend quarterly meetings with them to help us with our process. If we receive any type of external complaint, we work through the process with them and for a finding and any type of whether it's sustained or unsustained, or if there's any type of punishment, it's all worked through the Police Accountability Board. We strengthened our mandated reporting process and internal audit procedures. As you'll see in an upcoming slide, there's a number of mandated reporting and audits that the police department do annually. We upgraded our body worn cameras, technology to enhance transparency, evidence integrity, and public trust. The new body worn cameras, the biggest upgrade in it is the battery lasts longer, so it'll last an entire 12-hour shift. Move to the next slide, please. We implemented mandatory officer wellness check-ins to support mental health and resilience. So annually, each sworn officer must meet with a clinical psychologist for a check-in, wellness check-in. Maintain employee assistance with our EAP access for confidential and counseling support. And we encourage the gold membership to promote employee wellness. And I believe we're probably about 88% gold gym membership. Can we move to the next slide, please? So we're going to do a little police service by the numbers. So we are allocated for 26 sworn officers. Currently, 25 positions are filled, which if you know anything about the police department nowadays, that's a little unheard of. I think the county police are running about a 20% deficit. The last census we had is at 7,206 people, residents in the town of Riverdale Park. And I believe, as we all know, during normal business hours, that grows. And then there's probably quite a few people that aren't on this list. So last year, calendar year, we handled 15,579 calls for service. In that total, it's proactive policing as well. So about 40% of those calls are self-initiated. Our average response time for a priority call is 2 minutes and 41 seconds. And that's a priority call is anything that's in progress. So there's assault, stabbing, a robbery, hold up alarm. So to put that in perspective, the County Police District 1 Hyattsville, the response time is 8 minutes. We move to the next slide, please. So a little bit of our life-saving efforts last year, we performed CPR on 3 individuals. We deployed Narcan 5 times for overdoses. And our first aid, we applied a tourniquet on 2 occasions. We covered 15 firearms. We responded to 787 motor vehicle accidents. And our investigation case closure rate is 66%. And just put that a little bit in perspective, national average is about 42%. So just touch a little bit on this. It goes a long way saying, when I say that our officers know the people in town. So we know the bad people and the good people. So it goes a long way. We also work routinely with investigators from other agencies, an allied investigator meeting that our investigators attend monthly. and we share information because obviously criminals have no borders. And we can move to the next slide, please. And just touch on the external oversight and compliance. These are annual either reporting or audits that we have to accomplish each year. So when you see GOCCP, that's the Governor's Office of Crime Control and Prevention. And a lot of these audits are tied to funding. So our state police aid and our grant funding comes through GOCCP. So if you're not satisfying the mandated reporting or audits, like I just said, you won't receive the funding, which obviously is important. So then you'll see a lot of the reporting goes to MPTSC, which is the Maryland Police and Training Standards Commission. And just recently, we just had a hiring audit where you can move to the next slide, please, where they audited our hiring practice back to 2018. And I believe that was 8 officers. So you may know or may not know, there's a pretty comprehensive background you have to go through, polygraph, mental health, you got to have fingerprints, you got to have references, and they go through each packet of each individual, and we passed with flying colors, which I think is, from what we heard from the training commission, that doesn't always happen. So I'll just highlight a couple of these here. Anytime there's a serious use of force, that has to be reported. There's a report each year. We have to supply any information on any death in custody. And then obviously there's a license plate reader report here, which I think, which is annual and has to be done by Maryland State Police, and we have to report any type of information that was shared through our license plate reader. So for instance, if there was a homicide and they were looking for a vehicle, obviously we have to report the case number, investigating agency, so it's tracked. And then Deputy Chief Garcia is going to carry over to any type of specialized training. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to speak about the training and the community events that the police department did last year. And we're going to start off with crisis intervention. This training teaches officers how to safely and effectively respond to people in mental crisis. METERS, that's the Maryland Electronic Telecommunications Enforcement Resource System. That's just a law enforcement database to share and access investigative information. Then we have CPR, first aid. Officers are to recertify every 2 years for that. Then we have the Community Policing Institute. For that training, this is where officers learn how to implement community policing strategies to build trust, collaboration, and solving partnerships with our community. The next one we have is firearm simulation. That's pretty much similar to paintball, where the police department does training exercises. They use non-lethal paint marking ammunition for exercises. Next slide, please. Next, we have the DUI Institute. That's an advanced course for DUIs that our officers take. The Law Enforcement Executive Development Leads. That's a leadership course for advanced management for our officers.
If I could jump in here, and every one of our supervisors has been through that course. Sorry.
The next one is radar, LiDAR, which is for speed enforcement. Then we have the child safety seat inspection. That training is used for officers to properly install, inspect, and educate people on the use of car seats. Next slide. For the next slide, we have the Advanced Law Enforcement Rapid Response, known as ALERT. That's an active shooter and high risk critical incidents training that our officers go through. And we're fortunate enough not just to send officers to this training, but to have certified instructors as well. So they get to research some of our police officers as well as other agencies. Same thing with ABLE, which is the Active Bystander Law Enforcement Training. That's actually sponsored by the Georgetown University Law Center, which teaches the officers how to recognize, intervene, and prevent misconduct or inappropriate behavior among colleagues. Then we have the implicit bias traffic safety specialist. The traffic safety specialist that helps officers develop, implement, and enforce traffic safety. Next slide, please. Then we have the tactical medical training.
I'd like to comment on that as well. So we have a sergeant on the department, Bo Saunders, who was a volunteer fireman prior to joining the police department. He developed a course that's recognized by the training commission that we teach each one of our officers tactical medical training. It was one of the first in the state. Thank you.
And next we have the residential and commercial. So for that one, we have one officer that's certified. He's equipped with techniques to effectively investigate, secure, and respond to incidents in homes and businesses, and to provide information to these property owners on how to best secure and protect their properties. Then we have use of force, de-escalation training, and again, we do have instructors for that. Taser, defensive tactics.
As you can see, we're well trained.
Right, so we are, okay, so now we're on the, let me see if it's not popping up. Okay, so the next slide is going to be our community events. As you can see, we have trunk or treat, where we had over 200 kids and families attend, so it was a good success. We have the Veterans Day and Shop with a Cop. We did several community events. We also had Coffee with a Cop, movie night, Trolley Trail Day, Career Day, and we do have a Dare Officer, Corporal Wallace. In one of the pictures, you can see he's reading to the kids.
And I could say that's the first time ever this year's our department's never had a DARE certified officer. So we're teaching drug education to 4th and 5th graders now at Riverdale Elementary.
And he spends a lot of time there. No. And I think that's it for us.
Thank you all very much. We're going to transition to Public Projects and Services. Director Lewis.
Good evening, Mayor and council members and members of the community. I'm pleased to provide a brief overview of the fiscal year 2026 accomplishments for our department. I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that these accomplishments would not have been possible without the involvement of our on-call engineers, on-call construction companies, and the on-call tree maintenance company. Despite permitting delays on key projects, this has been a productive fiscal year for capital projects with progress across sustainability initiatives, infrastructure repair and maintenance, stormwater management, and walk, bike, drive safety. First, in support of the town's sustainability goals, we planted 87 trees across the town, achieving a ratio of roughly 9 trees planted for every 1 tree removed. This has expanded our urban tree canopy and strengthened our environmental resilience. Operationally, we secured a new mowing contract, which begins on April 1st and will maintain the consistency and efficiency of maintaining public spaces and rights of way that we've achieved in the past. And lastly, we purchased our first electric utility vehicle, improving operational efficiency while reducing emissions and supporting our environmental goals. Next slide, please. A major focus this year has been planning and design for capital projects. We completed a concept plan for several major projects, including the Town Center Trolley Trail and parking lot redesign, Natoli Place and Lafayette Avenue redesign, off-site stormwater mitigation at Madison Street and 47th, Mount Rose Park, and Riverdale Road safety improvements. These concepts lay the groundwork for final engineering and move these projects closer to construction. Next slide, please. We also finalized engineering plans for multiple stormwater and resilience projects, including the Bill Circle stormwater upgrades, a bioretention pond at Bill Circle West, 6 rain gardens, a municipal center stormwater harvesting system, which will capture rooftop runoff using large capacity rain barrels to support DPW operations, and to support, again, the rain barrels or the rain stormwater that we collect will support DPW operations. And then we've completed engineering designs for the Queensberry parking lot and lazy metal concept at Plummer Park. Next slide, please. This year, we also completed several high priority capital projects, most notably the municipal center renovations. Finally, in fact, WSSC was on site today to complete its inspection of the plumbing upgrades, which leaves only the final use and occupancy permit to be issued, within a week or so, I'm told. Also, we completed the storm drain at Plummer Park and the transfer of maintenance responsibility for this facility to the county. We completed new street lights on Lafayette Avenue and the new pollinator garden on Kennedy Paper Street, which was installed by DPW operations. New slide, please. We made significant progress in roadway safety and accessibility, including road resurfacing on 48th Avenue from Tuckerman to Ravenswood and 48th Avenue south of 410 to Queensberry. We installed 26 crosswalks at 8 intersections, 29 ADA curb ramps at 9 intersections, and new speed humps on Taylor Road, 54th Avenue, Rhode Island Avenue, and Oliver Street. Next slide, please. Other completed road improvement projects includes the completion of the sidewalk on 51st Avenue and on Bill Circle West, and sidewalk repairs on 54th Avenue south of Riverdale Road and Cleveland Avenue. Additionally, the sinkhole we discovered a year ago on 54th Avenue north of Riverdale Road and on Ogle Street west of Taylor Road were repaired. And lastly, we've improved sight lines at Bill Circle East and West and at eastbound Woodbury at Rhode Island Avenue to improve safety for all. Next slide, please. Looking ahead, several projects are planned for completion this spring, including the long-awaited Lazy Meadow project at Plummer Park, Bill Circle Bioretention Pond, the 6 rain gardens, and neighborhood security cameras at Riverdale Park Station and on Maryland Avenue. However, this project may continue through the summer. We are also implementing several transportation safety and demonstration projects, including speed tables in Madison Hill on all 3 roadways, speed monitoring and traffic calming on Lafayette Avenue south of Riverdale Road down to Nicholson, improved sight line on Riverdale Road at Lafayette, in addition to a stop sign at southbound Lafayette at Riverdale Road. We'll also install a new Continental crosswalk on Riverdale Road at this intersection and raised crossings on Riverdale Road near Tanglewood Drive and the bike path crossing. Lastly, we have recently contracted with Civil Solutions to complete a townwide road assessment project this April, which will provide information on pavement and sidewalk conditions, that is road pavement and sidewalk conditions, and the conditions of street signs. Additional data will also be collected and available for purchase by the town. Overall, fiscal year 2026 has been a strong year for capital programs, which continue progress towards safer streets, improved infrastructure, and more sustainable public places for the Riverdale Park community. Thank you.
That's, I think, quite an impressive list of what's been happening. We recapped the last decade. We focused in on the last year. And from my perspective, we should be proud of our staff team who work real hard to be of importance to our residents. We are well-trained, we're well-equipped, and it's because of their efforts that the town is strong So looking ahead, I've been told since 2018 that we are punching above our weight. That's a phrase that members of the council have said to me, to the staff team. We've heard that from the community, and that's a boxing metaphor, right? It's saying that you're able to fight above your weight. So we're still kind of featherweight here. We're a small group, and punching above your weight is something to be admired to a point. It comes at a cost. When you're trying to compete, and we have to be clear, Riverdale Park competes with other municipalities. We compete for residents, we compete for investment. The businesses compete for customers. We have to be that location of choice for residents, for businesses, for visitors, for investors, for employees. And so as we look ahead, I think the sign that we have in the front office that you can clearly see now that's been renovated, come grow with us. That's something that we adopted probably about 8 years ago, to make clear that the town is about growing, and we are. And despite the challenges from COVID and the economy and the uncertainty that has slowed down some of the growth, there's still more growth happening. So I want to talk for a minute about what that means in fiscal 27. So in the upcoming year, staff fully anticipate the development and implementation of an advisory planning committee. That's something that the mayor has spoken about publicly. And that's to have a resident committee to assist in reviewing proposed development projects and that. Other jurisdictions have these. College Park does, and it works well. And that's something that it's time for the town to grow into that type of a endeavor. In the upcoming budget, I'm going to share some snippets here. I will be proposing next week the creation of an economic development coordinator position. It'll be a new full-time position. And when we covered the assessable base early on and talked about how the residential base is growing, the commercial base is growing, but it's growing only at a 2.2% growth compared to 6.4% on the residential side. We need to support businesses. We need to support more economic development. And one way to do that is to create this position. We'll have details for you beginning next week on what this position looks like. I said when I started here, I will not recommend positions until we are ready for positions. We won't create something for the sake of creating it. The time has come, and it's time that we invest in creating an economic development coordinator. To tie into that, the time has also come to have a Main Street manager. Maryland Main Street is something that the town has worked towards for a number of years. And this position would also double as the events coordinator. Much of Main Street work is promoting areas, working with businesses to host events. Also, new in 27 is an ADA transition plan. We're required to have one. Any municipality with more than 50 employees is required to have one. And so that would be an analysis of our facilities and our community to make sure that we're accessible. It will be an ongoing multi-year investment. A support services coordinator, we heard from the police department tonight about all their audits that they have to comply with. This person, a civilian position, would be housed in the police department. And the two words that come to mind when I've read through the duties of this position are accountability and transparency. That's important. It needs to happen to make sure that we're compliant, but also make sure that we are delivering for our residents, that we are being accountable to the residents, and we are being transparent in our actions. We will be proposing new CIP projects. And I have heard clearly from the council, from previous council, from the community, some of these projects are taking too long. We have one person who's been shepherding that, who also is a department head. We need to hire a full-time project manager. We have to keep these projects on schedule, on time, and on budget. We're also be proposing, we have a part-time position in Public Works, and we want to make that full-time. We also need to figure out the organic waste options, composting. And we've budgeted for it in the previous year. We reduced that budget. We're trying to figure this out. It's difficult, but we're going to return to you here during the budget process with some recommendations. The Green Team has made recommendations as well, and we want to invite them into that conversation. I will be proposing a COLA in the upcoming budget of 2.5%. We've debated what the appropriate COLA would be. And I think that we're going to see significant inflation. Things are very uncertain right now. Gasoline costs are $4 or more a gallon. Interest rates on homes are up. The cost of living for everyone is increasing. And to remain competitive, we have to treat our staff appropriately. The chief talked about how we've managed to retain staff. And it's not just given a COLA. I think we have a culture here where people generally appreciate working here, and they know they are appreciated. I had a council member comment to me during the storm when they stopped and talked with some staff members. They seemed happy, was the comment. Yeah, they're out here in freezing weather, breaking up snow as hard as concrete, and they seemed happy. That's because our employees know that we care, and we have a good work culture here. But we also have to make sure that we compensate them appropriately. We're going to be working for additional training opportunities, as well as ensuring replacement and updates of equipment and vehicles. So there's going to be a lot to unpack in the proposed budget. So we're going to propose this with no changes to the tax rate or increases in any fees. So we're proposing that the tax rates remain what they are today. So we do have uncertainty. The war in the Middle East right now is impacting our cost of fuel. The only silver lining is we thought last year we would have really high gas prices, and we budgeted appropriately for it. And what we saw was we actually are under budget in the current year. And so next year we can keep that flat to what we budgeted. because we're probably we're about 22%. We over budgeted for the current year. So we keep that flat. That'll absorb what we anticipate to be the increase in our fuel cost. But where this is really going to hit us, and I think it's important for everyone to understand the impact of the price of petroleum on asphalt. So when we look at our road projects, we're going to really have to be strategic in what it is that we plan to accomplish in 27, in fiscal 27, because the cost of a street overlay will likely be considerably higher than it otherwise would be. So we are waiting for this study that Director Lewis mentioned. Some streets we will have to overlay, but we're going to want to be conservative there because it could be that 8 or 10 months later, we could save 30% because asphalt is going to fluctuate a lot more than our motor vehicle fuel. On the plus side, we've mentioned before, lower debt service payments, and something we were pleasantly surprised about. We got our number in. Our workers' compensation premium has come down by about $50,000. So we're working to have a safer workplace. Our experience modification was 2.16 in the current year. And next year, our experience modification drops to 1.69. And what that means is they develop a premium, and then the experience modification is a multiplier. So that 2.16 would be 2.16 times your premium, the base premium. Now we're going to be down to the 1.61. So that's really good news for us. The other things we have to think about in the upcoming year are changes to development trends. So we spoke previously about the developments that we anticipated seeing in town. We had anticipated the former funeral home, current funeral home being redeveloped. We anticipated the lofts in town center. We anticipated a hotel in Riverdale Park Station. And what we are seeing is delayed projects or changed projects. And so it's public now. There's actually a proposal to place townhomes where the hotel would have been built in Riverdale Park Station. And the other multifamily buildings in Riverdale Park Station continue to be delayed. And it would be healthy for the town to see multifamily development continue. The multifamily properties will assist in funding the town's operations at a higher rate than single family developments will. So it's important that the town position itself for the changes that we're seeing in development, but also to still encourage, where appropriate, to have multifamily housing. So I wanted to take a minute to talk about the fire department. So I mentioned earlier, we have the president here tonight, Nova Johns. She's brought some of her volunteers. We really appreciate having you here tonight. And the fire department has gone through some hard times. And not because they're a volunteer fire department in Riverdale Park, but because they're a volunteer fire department. Volunteer fire departments have struggled over the years to maintain their level of volunteers. Things are different today than they were 10, 20, 30 years ago in terms of being able to recruit and retain volunteers. So the department has worked to get a grant on recruitment and retention. That's about a $350,000 grant, and that's something to be celebrated. However, I recognized the need to assist them in being able to manage this grant because, as with all federal grants, it's a reimbursement grant. And in order to make this happen, I've met with Nova. Nova has talked with her board. And what I'm proposing in the upcoming budget is a $100,000 line of credit for the fire department, where they will be able to draw from town funds. We will have our grant officer ensure the uses are eligible uses for their grant. They'd be able to draw from that. And then when they do their drawdown from the federal government, that money would come back to the town. So it will assist the fire department in meeting their goals. I think that's very, very important to help the fire department, because at the end of the day, that helps our residents. And we have very little exposure here because we'll have our own staff involved to assist in determining eligibility. And at any given time, even if, because of some changes on the federal level, even if they cancel the grant, hope that doesn't happen, but we all live in fear of federal dollars being canceled or clawed back. If that were to happen, our exposure at most would be $100,000. And I think that makes sense for the town to do. So that will be included in the proposed budget to the mayor and council. So what do the next 10 years look like? So 10 years ago, the mayor and council set off on this journey, and here we are today. And the town's doing well. There's a lot going on. But in the next 10 years, there's going to be redistricting. Mr. Shelton, if you would, please. We'll have future development impacting density, we hope. But that will cause a strain on town resources as well. And then we got to circle back to what I mentioned earlier, climate change, because that's going to continue to impact the town. We also need to then focus on stormwater management, changes to schools. I've heard from the Walk, Bike, Drive Committee that we need a bicycle plan and designation as a bicycle-friendly municipality, and that makes good sense. I mentioned the ADA transition plan. That'll be a multi-year plan or multi-year implementation. And then the mayor and I have talked about the last bullet point on this slide, and that is a multifamily neighborhood revitalization plan. That's going to come at a cost. Those types of plans typically cost about $200,000. But we have to look at our neighborhood east of the river. That is part of our One Riverdale Park. And we have not seen investment there like we should. Recently, just to talk briefly about possibilities, there's an apartment community in College Park, the Arbor at College Park. That was just renovated. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And we're working to find out how much they've spent per unit, because the building is a 1960s building. They took a 1960 building and they invested in it. And it's a beautiful building. That can happen here. And that can happen here and still be affordable. But that's going to take a lot of heavy lifting on the part of the municipality here. Riverdale Park is going to have to push the state and the county to help with that. That type of project, you either have to have an influx of capital through whether it's low-income housing tax credits or operating subsidies, or both. But in order to have affordability and have a renovation that is worthy of our residents. Those things need to happen. And I really think by having a multi-family neighborhood revitalization plan and bringing a consultant who runs the numbers, that talks about the possibilities, that develops catalytic projects, that makes the area more attractive to private investment as well. That's something that's just really important that happens in the next 10 years. I would argue in the next 2. So if we move on from that, our walk, bike, drive, and sorry for my side there, I'm very passionate about affordable housing, and we can make it happen here. It's just going to take a lot of work. But our walk, bike, drive committee has continued to be doing good work, and that their work will always be here. The purple line will be fully completed, and this next slide's a little bit of a sleeper. 6601. It's in the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, from the previous administration. We're having meetings, we're having discussions, and it's entirely possible that property, the 6.5 acres and those buildings will become the property of the town next spring. We will also continue to have to work on financial sustainability, and that ties directly to public-private partnerships and public-public partnerships. I'm having discussions with my counterparts how we can team up on various initiatives, and that's important for our future. So, a few challenges. DPI's broken. I've been mentioning this for 9 years. I think everybody knows it. How does it get fixed? I've talked with the mayor about this, and one concept is to have an express lane, if you will, for public projects, for municipalities, for MNCPPC, for anybody who has to stand in line. We're spending public funds. Delays, runarounds cost money. Receiving incomplete or inaccurate information or going through antiquated processes costs money. We can lower our cost on projects, our cost to our residents, if DPI was run appropriately. And that is going to be another heavy lift. But the only way we're going to do this, I think, is to get the other municipalities to join the chorus. And I know from talking with my counterparts, we're all frustrated. And so that's one of the challenges. I'd say that's a really significant challenge. And we have to figure out how to fix DPI. Manage growth and service delivery, finding the balance. The impact of climate change. There's a theme here. It's purposeful on all these different slides. Housing affordability and affordability more generally. And then the cost of service delivery. We live in a high-priced area here, right? I mean, our residents, this is a high cost area. The whole DC metro area is high-cost area. And we have to figure out how we can afford ourselves in the future. And so I applaud the action the mayor and council took tonight to support that legislation that would study how we can be funded. And hopefully they're going to look at a vast array of ways to fund us and not simply on the property owners, both residents and commercial owners. So, final words. This is what y'all have been waiting for, right? This phrase is something that was said to me a long time ago. In times of great change, it's important and necessary to be patient with yourselves and others. My staff hears this, I don't want to say daily, but they hear it a lot. There's great change that we've been through, and there's great change that's coming. And we have to make sure that we remember this, that even in moments of disagreement as we're planning our course for the town, even in those moments, especially in those moments, we got to be patient with each other. And we have to make sure that we're not questioning people's motives, their integrity, just because they have a different opinion. This is a very polarized world. And it's really important that we don't become polarized. That we can disagree, but we can figure it out. You don't have to look far to see neat little towns that were great places that become places of strife and turmoil. You can Google the towns. Take a look at Purcellville, Virginia. Take a look at Warrenton, Virginia. Not long ago, you could have taken a look at some places here in Maryland I won't name. But it's one of those things you have to make sure that as we grow, that as we have these stressors, that as we face challenges head on, that we make sure that we stay united in the belief that we're all trying to do the right thing here, especially when we disagree, to be patient with ourselves and each other. So I can get a little preachy sometimes. I blame that on my seminary days, but I really think that's important for the community. So with that, I want to thank the mayor and council for your leadership. I want to thank the community for everything that you do. And I want to thank the staff team because they have made Riverdale Park strong, but they do it with a focus on being of importance to our residents. We have a staff meeting every 2 weeks, all staff. And at that meeting, we talk about how we can be of importance to our residents. We end those meetings saying, hey, let's continue to be of importance to our residents. Let's be relevant. And with that, we'll conclude the presentation. Mr. Mayor, if you and the council or anyone has any questions, we'd be happy to entertain your questions. Marcellus will need a microphone. Oh, it's out here. Never mind.
I have a bunch of silly questions. One is for Ryan, and I just wanted to know where the new art installations are. The two new ones.
Mr. Cholton.
Yes, there's one on the Kennedy Street right next to that new pollinator garden that was installed that I mentioned earlier. And the second one is escaping my mind at the moment, but I'd be happy to send you the list.
Okay, thank you. I have two questions about how data is shared. This is for police department. So the license plate reports you mentioned are shared with the state, and I'm curious who the state shares that data with. And the second question is about the neighborhood security cameras. We didn't really talk about that, but I'm also curious whether that data is shared, who it's shared with.
So the license plate data is stored by the state. So the report is if we get any type of inquiries, state wants to know who's asking for any type of data. So we have to report it. I can tell you we only had one inquiry last year, and it was from Prince George County Homicide.
Okay. And what about those neighborhood security cameras? I don't know whose slides those were on. I think it might have been Ivy. Sorry.
Can you just repeat the question, please? I thought maybe it would answer.
Neighborhood security cameras. It was a bullet point on one of the slides and nobody said anything about what it was about. And I don't remember who it was. I'm sorry.
So we have several neighborhood security cameras that are in the public right of way at intersections and on the hiker biker trail. That is monitored inside the police department in the communications division. That data is not shared with anyone.
Okay, and then I had, this is also for the police department. You have an amazing amount of training. It was really impressive. I'm curious whether you get training both for working with people with disabilities and also for addressing residents who are having mental health crises.
Yes, so we do mandated crisis intervention training. And the other part, the first part, that is mandated by the state at in-service training every 2 years. So yes, we do.
That's all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is it okay? I want to thank everybody for the presentation tonight. I'm Michael Herman. I think we have a lot to chew on for here, and there's a lot to be very proud of the community that we've become and from where we have come. There is an observation that I want to make, and this is not on behalf of the Business Association, but I want to make sure that the mayor and council are aware as you go into budget planning. There are the opportunity for people to age in place in Riverdale Park has become a little bit of a fantasy. And I am aware of 4 people personally who have put their houses on the market because they can no longer afford to live in the community that they bought into. They have their homes paid off, but they can't age here because the property taxes are killing them. There are people who are paying mortgage payments where their escrows are 40% of the principal and interest that they're paying. In other words, they need a mortgage just to pay the property taxes. I know that sounds like, well, geez, we're a victim of our own success. But I think that it's very important as we think about the growth of our government, the growth of our budget. You know, from the time that I was the mayor to the time of now, I think the budget has grown 6-fold. The number of staff members is extraordinarily larger compared to, but it's a different town. We understand that. But interestingly, the number of residents has actually grown by about 5 to 7%, but the budget has grown by many hundreds of percent. The point is that we have to be cognizant of this because even as we're trying to build the competitive and Cadillac version of what we can be, the best vision of ourselves, we are having a lot of people who, because of things that have transpired in our community and in our society, there are tax credits that were available to seniors that are no longer available to them. That wasn't a fault of the town, but it might be an opportunity for the town to think about how do we take our seniors, particularly those in lower socioeconomic situations who are homeowners, and be able to say, you can stay here. The greatest thing that one of the things that the AARP promotes is aging in place in communities because people survive longer when they love the place where they are, and people love the town that they live in. But the town doesn't love them back sometimes when they feel that pressure of that burden. I literally am very personally familiar with people who are moving for this reason. I'm fortunate. I run a law firm. I can afford painfully the taxes that we pay. But I just want you to understand that there are people that are really hurting out there. And even as our median incomes are going up, as you go into this budget cycle and think about what you're doing, maybe there's a way to think about either relief for seniors I know that you said there's no proposed tax increase, but the tax increases that have happened over the course of the last several years to get us to where we are have been, it's not just in the growth of the value of the property, there's actual percentage increases in property taxes. I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Herman, thank you very much for your comments. And when I mentioned that this is a high-cost area, it is. And it's the county tax, it's the town tax, it's MNC PPC's tax. And when you add them together, it's really considerable. I will point out that the MNC PPC tax, I believe, is 29 cents per $100 in value. Montgomery County's MNC PPC tax is 8 cents per $100 in value. The difference is a $500,000 home in Montgomery County pays just under $500 in tax for their park and planning. That same $500,000 home here pays nearly $1,500 in tax. And that's something that the staff, we look at total tax burden, and I'm not sure why there's that disparity, but that's really significant. And I appreciate your other comments, sir, on whether or not something can be done to assist seniors. And yes.
And there are reasons that it's a lot higher in Prince George than in Montgomery. It's not good reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the reasons, sir. I just look at the comparative, and when we look at the comparative, it's like I'm not sure what people are paying for on that tax to be $1,000 difference, and we're neighbors. So, but that is something, sir. The staff team take that to heart, and we'll take a look at what we may be able to propose to the council. Thank you.
Alan Thompson, former mayor. And first I wanted to just say that I was really pleased to see the presentation tonight, see all the good news that's coming in, and also see the steely gaze that you're looking at the challenges that you're facing. I recognize probably better than most people in town the long history behind a lot of the challenges that you're facing, and appreciate that you're continuing to look at them and take care to plan for them. Just commenting on a few things from the presentation. I want to absolutely congratulate the police department on their staffing. Having 24 out of 25 positions filled is astonishing in the current market. And I think that, I believe the town manager said this, that you make it a good place to work and people appreciate having a good culture. And I think that it's good policing to have happy police officers. So I just wanted to say that as an appreciation.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
For Public Works, again, the projects that are underway, the projects that have been completed, it's amazing to see the completion of the municipal center in particular spans 3 mayors now. That project was stretched out a long time, but it is a beautiful project, and congratulations on that. The statement on your first slide that the first Public Works electric vehicle, that's great news, especially with the possibility of increases in petroleum prices. Driving an EV myself, I can say it's really nice to drive past the gas station and not have to get out my wallet at all. And even on my own vehicle, I calculated recently that driving back and forth to Gaithersburg now for a couple of years, I have saved 5 tons of carbon from going into the air just from my vehicle. So it does help. It's good for the climate, It's good for the pocketbook, and it will plug in nicely to renewable and other non-carbon emitting sources of power in the future, should that happen. And I know that the town has been working on that in other departments as well, but the Public Works, I know, had some very specialized needs for electric vehicles, and so seeing that is really great news. On to the town manager, talking about punching above our weight and the new positions that are in the budget. I know that those new positions can be funded now because the long-term debt is finally being retired. And I know from watching it personally for 8 years, how hard the staff has worked, how much extra time they put in, and how challenging it is to meet all of that. And so I'm very pleased that there looks like there might finally be some relief for the staff and allow people to relax and to be creative, because that's a lot of what those extra staff positions will do, is allow people to be creative in the jobs that they do. And so I appreciate that. Moving on to a few things that you mentioned in the challenges, the development changes are real. And in particular, the shift from the higher density housing, the commercial, to lower density housing, that's not good for the town's bottom line. I mean, it's been a goal of the town for a long time to increase commercial development so that the burden on residents, including our older residents, as brought up by Mike recently, earlier this evening, that if we can try to maintain focus and try to get things working in the direction of a higher fraction of the taxes coming from commercial entities, then that would be a good thing. It's, as you know, I've been working on that personally for a really long time, really long time. The last thing that I'll talk about is your statement that DPI is broken. And having seen the way that change sometimes happens in organizations, I would suggest that you pitch the municipal fast lane, which is going to have some people who are unhappy about it, because of course homeowners and businesses would like to get better service out of DPI as well. Everybody is hurt. And in fact, sometimes the development that we'd like to see is slowed down because of DPI. And so the way I would suggest pitching it is creating a new best practices piece of DPI that would address the municipalities, but would take their new practices, new procedures, new ways of doing things, and spread them back out through DPI as they figure out how to do things better. And so that's a way to sell it, a way for people to think of it in a positive way, as opposed to we're going to use our influence with county government to get a better deal than the rest of you. So saying this is a good place to start, and see a reform of the organization from inside based on new practices. So thank you. Appreciate the presentation this evening, and I'm ready to hand off the mic.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks. So first, I want to echo everyone's thanks for everybody's hard work. I'm sure I'm speaking for every member of the council when I express our deep gratitude for all of your work. We can see how hard you work and how much time and extra time is spent doing so many things for the town. So thank you. One thing I was really struck by in the presentation was the figure showing the growth in income, but the steady state currently of the poverty rate. And I just think it underlines how important it is for the town to continue making sure that development in the town is equitable. I know that's been a goal of ours, but I also think the new commission that the mayor wants to start hopefully will speak to some of this and the multifamily revitalization project. But I also think that it suggests that we need to continue to think of even more ways that we can support all of our residents. The food assistance was obviously part of that, and I know that our resources are very strapped, and it is meaningful that the tax rate is not increasing, especially given how expensive things are now and will continue to be for the town. So that is a lot. That is very significant in my view. But I hope we can keep, thinking about what we can do, given that that poverty rate is still there and people's dollars and even their increased salary, is not going as far as it would have just because of the price of things. I know we all share that goal. I just wanted to kind of flag that figure was striking. So thank you, but thank you for the whole presentation and all of your work.
Thank you.
Is there anyone online? No questions online? Obviously, thank you for the presentation. It was super helpful to see all that happens in a particular year, everything from all the different trainings that happen, a lot of mandated training from the police as an example, but also hearing how many officers we had that are also instructors as well. And so we're not just consuming the training, but we're also sort of leading that. So that's a good sign, I think, of the level of competency that we have. Your challenges slide, I'm obviously invested and interested in what does the next 10 years look like. You mentioned DPI is broken. I'm happy to hear that County Council Vice Chair Eric Olson, who also represents our district, just signed off on they're creating a committee to think about the development process and appointments and permitting. And they have a charge of within 60 days coming back with recommendations. And so I reached out to him about the unique challenges that municipalities had, and he was he was obviously sympathetic to it. And so I think there's an opportunity there. I think, former mayor's point about you develop best practices, a good idea is a good idea, and it'll solve many, many issues. And so at least there's at least a vehicle currently that we can sort of look towards. And so I think what would be helpful for myself and council, I think, is getting armed with all of the examples, the data, so that we can go and speak intelligently about not just in theory, but particular projects about, hey, this just doesn't make sense and it shouldn't be this way. I think that will sort of give us fuel to sort of fight that battle. My question is around of the multiple challenges that you sort of laid out that we need to think about in the next 10 years. You mentioned kind of in passing that some things may need to start sooner. Is there one or two things that you feel would probably need to be prioritized, like in this upcoming fiscal year in 27, in order to be in place in a timely fashion? I know some things take time, and so I'm curious about what are the one or two things that we really need to get on now in order that it be a reality in the near future.
One or two. I would say we have to dedicate resources to grow the commercial base. So economic development, that includes the advisory planning committee. We have to be focused on economic development, and that focus will, at least in part, address the concerns Mr. Herman raised, and that the concerns that we all have about the tax burden on our residents. We are seeing that we'll have some buildings built in the Discovery District, but there's also some vacant spaces. We don't know what's going to happen with the USDA building. That one building, in the hands of the federal government, if that property were to remain commercial and go into private hands, that one building would, applying the current tax rate, would yield to the town $660,000 a year. That's one property. And if we had that, we would be able, or if it was in private hands, we would be able to recommend lowering the tax rate or having some sort of a cap lower than the 10% cap right now for owner-occupied homes. And we would be able to do a lot of creative things. So I really think focused on economic development is what we have to do. And there's many things under that, but we really have to focus on economic development. And other than that, sir, I would say we do have to provide some additional resources to the staff team. If my staff team, if the leadership team was speaking frankly with you right now, what you would hear is we're tired. That's what you would hear. And so we have to do more. I think we have to do more to support the business community. We have to do more to support our residents. We have to have more events. We have to have more services. And we'll continue punching above our weight, whether we get those additional resources or not. But I think that's important to be able to continue a trajectory because growing ourselves to a more sustainable position is what we need to do. It's either you do that or you retract. And then you say, well, we can't provide all these services. We can't do this. We can't do that. So we either grow and we invest in economic development and we work to recruit investors and site selectors to take a serious look at Riverdale Park because we'd rather have their dollars here for quality development than have their dollars go to Hyattsville or to Greenbelt or to College Park. And so it's about recruitment and then being the location of choice. That's not just a buzz phrase. We have to be able to sell that we add value, that we're relevant. So I would just tie it back to economic development.
Thank you. We're at 9 o'clock, so.
Sounds good.
We're at 9 o'clock. We probably can wrap up.
Yeah, if there's no other questions from the council or anyone online, I want to just thank you all very much. And we'll see you back here on Monday for our work session.
Thank you.